Torah portion discusses the war that the Jewish people waged against Midian. Midian was a country that was situated east of the land of Canaan. And this was not a war of conquest as such, but a war of revenge. The Midyanites had sent in troops, they had sent in women also, and they had caused a great deal of promiscuity amongst the Jewish people. There was a terrible plague. And Hashem came to Moshe and said that you are to take vengeance, revenge, against the people of Midian. And it's fascinating what Moshe did. Moshe summoned Pinchas and said to him, you're going to lead the charge. You're going to be the one who is going to go and fight against Midian. And our sages ask, why did Moshe do this? Moshe was always in the forefront of any battle. He didn't stay behind at home and send off the troops. He went to fight himself. In fact, we learned in last week's parsha how Moshe went out and fought and battled against the king of Og, the great giant. So why in this instance did Moshe send Pinchas? And a number of reasons are given. One reason is that Pinchas's family had a gripe with Midian, because Pinchas, through his mother's side, was related to Joseph. And when Joseph's brothers sold him as a slave, the people who bought him were Midyanites, and then they took him down to Egypt. So, as it were, Pinchas had a personal gripe with the Midyanites, and he had to take care of it. This is one explanation. A second explanation is the reason why he sent Pinchas is because Pinchas had really started the battle. When the Jewish people were involved in all of this promiscuity, and the head of the tribe of Shimon was publicly cavorting with a Midianite woman, it was Pinchas who killed the head of that tribe. And therefore Hashem said to Moshe, and Moshe communicated to Pinchas, because you were the one who started the fight, you must now finish it. These are two traditional reasons. But then there is a third reason, and this is the one that is really, really fascinating. The reason why Moshe could not lead the battle against Midian was because he owed them a favor. He owed them so much. He owed them hakarat tov, gratitude. Why is this so? Because when Moshe was driven out of Egypt, when he killed the Egyptian taskmaster, he fled. And where did he flee to? He fled to Midian. And they took him in. Yitro, his father-in-law, took him in. And they were Midianites. And Moshe lived there for many, many years, because he only came back to Egypt when he was 80 years old. And therefore, how could he go out and fight against the Midianites? And even though this was a just war and Hashem had commanded it, Moshe interpreted Hashem's words that Hashem could not mean that he has to lead the army. That wouldn't be right. That would be against the laws of derech eretz, proper behavior. As the sages put it, that you should not throw a rock, a stone, into a well from which you have drunk. How could Moshe have done such a thing? That would be a complete lack of hakarat tov, of gratitude, even though they were the enemies of the Jewish people. And this is in fact a lesson that Moshe learnt much earlier on in his life. When Hashem told Moshe to execute the 10 plagues, we find that when it came to plagues numbers 1 to 3, Moshe didn't execute them. It was Aaron, it was his brother. His brother struck the river Nile, turning it into blood. His brother struck the river Nile to extract the frogs. And his brother struck the ground to turn the dust into lice. Why didn't Moshe do that? And again, it's the same answer. He couldn't do that. Because when he was a young baby, he had been placed into the river. The river had protected him. The river had saved his life. So how could he now strike it? How could he cause it harm? And even though it was an inanimate object, but this shows the incredible sensitivity that a person has to have. The same thing, how could he strike the dust of Egypt and turn it into lice? When he killed the taskmaster, he buried the body in the dust of Egypt. And that protected him so that he wouldn't be found out. And therefore, how could he now strike the dust? He had this incredible sense of gratitude, and therefore he said to Pinchas, I know this is a just war. I know this is something the Jewish people have to do, but I can't do it. You have to do it, Pinchas, because I owe Midian everything. I owe them hakarat tov, incredible gratitude. And this teaches us a most incredible lesson, because, again, we live in a generation where people have not got this attribute of gratitude. Many people are so ungrateful for what they have. And here we see that Moshe was even grateful to an enemy. This teaches us just how much we have to show thanks and to give thanks to those who have done good to us. I wish you a Shabbat Shalom.